First to Afghanistan, analysts are questioning whether the Afghan army is ready to take over the country's security when NATO and U.S. forces leave in 2014. And Imran, you talked to VOA Islamabad correspondent Sharon Behn to get some answers.
Yes, Alex, I did have a chance to speak to her. Sharon went to Kabul to find out how the Afghan military is preparing recruits to face the Taliban, but how will they face them alone? So let's first take a look at the top of her story.
According to NATO estimates, more than a quarter of Afghan's army left service this year, and almost 3,000 soldiers have been killed or wounded. An overwhelming majority who join are functionally illiterate. The Afghan government has been found likely to be incapable of sustaining its military facilities once most NATO troops leave in 2014. These are harsh developments for a military that will soon have to function on its own.
Sharon, U.S. and NATO forces will be leaving Afghanistan by 2014, but analysts say the Afghan army is not ready to take over as far as national security is concerned. What do you think is the state of the Afghan army right now?
Well, that's a pretty big question. I think there are a lot of efforts to get the Afghan army up and running and up to the point where it can take over its own security. So I visited the Kabul Military Training Center, where they're putting a lot of effort in teaching them how to use their weapons, giving a lot of literacy classes. For example, right now about, I think, 85% of those people who join are not literate. You know, there are other reports that, for example, the NATO coalition forces have said that just over a quarter of the army is leaving every year due to attrition. So the numbers are dropping off, which means they're going to have to recruit more. There was a special inspector general report that came out and said that the Afghan government doesn't have the ability to keep the logistics going. I mean, simple things like air conditioning or whatever the troops might need to keep them going in whatever situation they happen to be in, that the Afghan government is actually not capable of handling that either.
Jawed Koistani says the Defense Ministry simply does not have a plan.
We do not have any strategy on dealing with the Taliban or against the intelligence service of neighboring countries. All training of soldiers and security forces must be based on a specific strategy which will give them the morale to fight.
Tell me something, if the situation is like this, how do they expect to take over by 2014?
The United States, all the combat troops are going to leave, but my understanding and what they're discussing now under the Security Pact discussions is that there will be a number of trainers and advisors who stay behind. These are the people who are going to keep helping and guiding the Afghan security forces. So it's not like all the combat troops are leaving, but there is going to be a contingent of people who are left behind to guide and to advise. And there are, deals in the works to make sure that they can keep the Afghan security forces going.
What do you think is the difference right now if you compare your reporting now compared to last time when you were there?
Well, I was there not too long ago, so there's not going to be any drastic change. What I did see, though, was something interesting, which was the value of the Afghani going down. And I went and spoke to a bunch of businessmen, and from carpet sellers that are big export item to owner of a construction business. And I asked them, what's happening? And there was a lot of negative perception about the economy. People are really worried about what's going to happen when the troops leave. It's basically a foreign aid dependent economy. People are very worried about what's going to happen once they leave.
Thanks to Sharon. VOA's Sharon Behn in Islamabad.